Hey folks, just a quick note before we get into this week's show. I've decided to combine my Patreon accounts together. So the one that I was using for my other podcast, Manic Mondays, is now being renamed to Devo Spice, and the separate one for Random Acts of Horror has been migrated over there. So the new Patreon is patreon.com/Devo Spice, and it will contain all my creative outputs in various forms. Now on with the show.
Congratulations. You are worthy. And remember, reality is cursed. Choose or die.
Welcome to another episode of Random Acts of Horror, the podcast where we review movies, TV shows, and whatever else we find in the horror genre completely at random. This is Tom Rockwell, better known around these parts as Devo Spice, and I have a supporting role in a film called Call Boys, which is premiering soon at a film festival here in New Jersey. And I also finished editing my third short film, a little film called Sex Offender Counseling Class, which will also premiere at that same film festival. And I'm going to start submitting it to other festivals soon, so look forward to that. Joining us this week on Random Acts of Horror for the first time, you know her as the two-time winner of the FumpFest video contest. You know her as the amazingly talented artist who did the covers of the Fump's Best of 2023 and 2024. And you know her as the fangirl half of Steve Goody's Super Dork and Fangirl. Please welcome Angel Gonzalez, better known as Chuck.
Hi!
Also joining us for the first time, you know him as the guy who was possessed by the ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage in my short film, Talk to the Hand. You know him from his roles from such films as Aware of the Wolf and the upcoming The Johnson League. And you probably don't know him for this, but I know him from the acting classes we've had together at LaGuardia Acting Studio in Rockaway, New Jersey. Please welcome Cordell Black.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here.
So, this week, the randomizer has chosen a film called Choose or Die, and apparently Chuck has seen this. So what do you remember about it, Chuck?
It was like, I remember if it said this in the, well, no spoilers. It's something to do with like some kind of technology, and it's kind of confusing. I think it was a bit confusing, but I think I remember kind of liking it. And the ending, I think, was confusing, but no spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Cordell, have you seen this?
No, I haven't, but I just looked at a couple of cover arts because, sometimes you watch a movie if you get the name. So I'm just like, let me just make sure because I have seen those, Dare or Die, Truth or Dare movies. So I was like, let me just make sure. But no, I have not seen this one. So
yeah, Truth or Dare I have seen. I have not seen Choose or Die.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's the same idea. So, okay, so we are going to watch Choose or Die. And we will be right back after this message, very important message about MarsCon. Yeah, strike that. I didn't get this episode out in time for MarsCon, so here's a promo for the FumpFest compilation.
Dance like a scientist. Do it more. We want more.
The FumpFest 2024 2-CD set is now available.
Now I'm living my truth. I'm naked from the waist down. I'm Donald Ducking it. Yeah.
I had the copyright on the word.
And time again, the junior staff has always proven that they keep it ship afloat. Cause lower decks keep it moving. Lower decks, lower decks, lower decks, lower decks keep it moving. Lower.
Your own vegetable Jesus.
So I made it with a bagel and cream cheese cause I was feeling high. Everyone singing.
That your favorite show is never coming back. It's dead in the ground. And that's that.
You're a screws loose boozer and only one-star reviewer. You're a power bottom at rock bottom, but you got company.
Make you feel better.
We chant Cogmore at FumpFest than we do at any other time of year.
Call of Cthulhu, we love you. You're the greatest game now.
Whether or not you deserve it, everybody will get served at the zombie apocalypse party.
Available now in the store at FumpFest.com and thefump.com. Okay, we just watched Choose or Die, a Netflix original film from 2022, directed by Toby Meakins and starring Lola Evans and Asa Butterfield. And I realized while I hadn't seen this film, I had heard of it, and I remember it like when it first came out, because it turns out it was actually a pretty big hit on Netflix when it came out. According to the director, it was like the number one movie on Netflix for a while. It had like 30 million viewed hours when it first came out in the first 10 days, and was like top 10 in 90 countries. So this was a big hit
Wow.
for him, at least, and for
Nice.
Netflix. So I knew it was
Wow.
probably one of those things where it's like, yeah, I should watch that. And then I never did. So, but now I did.
Yeah, I had no idea it was so popular. I mean, I hadn't heard of it until my mom put it on one day. I was like, "Oh, what's this?" I don't know.
Is your mom into horror too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she's the exact reason. She would play when I was a little kid, she'd be playing like Chucky on the family room TV. I'd be like, "What's this scary stuff?" And that's now I'm indoctrinated.
Yes. Okay. That tends to be what happens. Yes. So the interesting thing about this movie is I'm actually old enough to remember playing these games when I was a kid, when they were new. Because the movie is about a cursed text adventure game where because in the old days before graphics were good, they came up with these text adventure games, and it was usually like, you are in a tavern, there's a bartender in front of you, and a traveler to your right, and what do you do? And you had to the challenge was typing in words that the computer program would understand, because it wasn't like today with Siri and stuff. It's like they had to hard code all the possible answers into the game. So it was a challenge just figuring out how to play the game. There were two games I played. One was called Adventure, which was later made into the Atari game Adventure. And then one was a text adventure game of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I played before having read the books. So nothing made sense to me. I had no idea what was happening. I get to this I get to this one point and it says you're holding a babblefish, and I'm like, what the hell is a babblefish? And then my friend who had read the books goes, stick it in your ear. And I was like, what? It was like, okay, place babblefish in ear. It's like, suddenly you can understand the aliens. I'm like, how was I supposed to know that?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this game gives you it seems it can manipulate reality. It knows where you are, and it gives you a choice of this or that type thing, and you choose one, and somebody gets hurt and dies, basically, is the premise of the film.
Yeah.
And this young programmer stumbles upon the game and gets sucked into it, and then has to try to work her way through it. Her initial impetus to play the game is that there is what was it, $125,000 reward for beating the game?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. And she's a struggling, she works like night shift at a empty office building, cleaning the floors every night, apparently.
Yeah. Completely like empty every night. It's all like secluded. It looked weird. I thought I'll get into my analysis later. I
Can't have any dust on the floor ever whatsoever.
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly.
Like no parts.
So the game is called Cursor, and the E is a like was it a greater than or less than symbol?
Greater than.
A greater than symbol.
Greater than.
And so it looks like a command prompt. And I'm betting that when they wrote the script, the movie was called Cursor. And
Yeah.
I'll bet you it was a studio note saying, no, we can't sell the film like that. You have to change it to something else. And they instructed them to call it Choose or Die. Not that Choose or Die is a bad title. It works.
Cursor's better.
Yeah.
So the girl has a passing resemblance to Chuck, so that was neat.
Oh, I didn't even realize. I thought she looked like Zendaya.
She does kind of, yeah. But so what'd you guys think?
So for me, coming into it, it really brought me in for a loop, especially towards the end, because when I was watching it, I'm like, are they in some type of virtual reality and it's like mind controlling them? Because, it just kept affecting all reality around them. I guess Should I say too much? I don't know if I want
No,
to
yeah,
spoil it.
spoilers are fine. Spoilers are fine on this
Oh,
show.
okay,
I
cool,
mean,
cool.
I wouldn't
So,
spoil like any major
yeah.
reveal or
No, I'm
anything,
not going to
but
go into the
yeah.
plot or anything like that, but just, the altering reality, it just was like, is this real? Like, and then it's funny because you brought up the whole cleaning in that secluded building. And I'm like, this has to be where they're kidnapping her and putting the virtual reality on her head. And now she's playing the game. And, they've been studying her for weeks. They know her best friend. They know her mom. They know about the rats in the house, the weird neighbors selling drugs. So I was convinced, like, I want to say maybe 30, 40 minutes in, I was like, they have to be kidnapping these workers and putting on virtual reality things on their head. Because I actually watched a movie and I guess it kind of reminded me a little bit about it. I think it was called The Island, if I'm not mistaken. And it was this island where they shipped a whole bunch of criminals to it. And I don't want to get into too many details of the movie, but basically there was never really an island. They were all hooked up to these machines.
I think I saw that.
So that's where I was going with it. I was like, they have to be hooked up to some type of machines because they know too much about their lives, but they're altering reality. But no, it was actually a video game curse, and it got really more. I got more interested into it. I was probably fully, like, I would say, in it towards when, like, her friend gets involved.
Yeah,
So
when the two of them were
much.
playing the game together,
Yes,
that was really good.
Yeah,
That was
that
like,
was
awesome.
like
yeah,
eye-opening, like, just like, oh shit, this is real. This is real. So I really enjoyed that part. Now one thing that I guess I kind of wish I could have got a little bit more from, and then it may just be me because I watch a lot of horror movies. I wasn't scared. I don't know about you guys, but it wasn't really scary. Good story, good concept, but as far as like the fear part, I just wasn't really too scared. So
Yeah, I think it was a lot more suspenseful and like a mystery more than it was super horrific or
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
which I found quite a bit of enjoyment out of that personally. But
Yeah,
and I love over the top horror, especially when it actually is scary. I'm rarely
yeah,
scared of movies these days, but like when something is scary, that's really cool. But
yeah.
I do like figuring things out and piecing things together. I love psychological stuff like that.
it's funny because at the beginning of the film, the very first time she plays the game, she's in a cafe, and it's altering reality, and it makes the waitress drop a bunch of glasses, and then the game says should she break more or clean up, and she chooses clean up, and then the waitress starts eating the glasses, the shards of glass, which was an intense, uncomfortable scene to watch. And when she tries to
Yeah.
rush over and stop her physically from doing it, the I guess the owner of the cafe, the waitress's boss,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
glitches and comes out, and he's like glitching back and forth to try to stop her. I thought that was such a cool effect. And that's the only time they did that in this film. They didn't, like, there wasn't any more of that type of glitching effect of reality. And I was like, they should have done more with that.
Yeah.
It could have been much scarier
I
if they had done more stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other instance of like a person glitching I can recall is like later when her friend Isaac is
Video
like
tape.
doing
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tape.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
The
there's
rewind or
that too,
fast
but it
forward.
wasn't used for horror or anything. It was just like that scene, you
Yeah.
know.
You know, absolutely. And that's really what made me think they're kidnapping them and putting virtual reality helmets on.
Yeah.
Because that glitching scene, it was automatically like, oh, they messed it up now. Like she messed up something with the reality, like the virtual reality, and it's now, getting affected. Because even when she brushed him to the side, he glitched again. And it was
Yeah.
almost like, if you notice it was like he disappeared. He was no longer there once she got
Yeah.
past him and went to the waitress and was trying to help her out. And then the other scene, just like Chuck said, like when the rewind or fast forward when the guy was stuck in like the videotape scene, yeah, it kind of glitched a little bit when she tried to interact with it. But all in all, like I said, it really was a good concept. I like the concept of it
Yeah, I thought the
tremendously.
concept was fantastic. I thought the
Like
concept was brilliant.
I love
and
it.
they nailed it giving us a little bit of history about who created the game.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like even
Mhm.
just showing the code
Yes.
stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
was,
that beta test video was
yeah,
pretty interesting, and
yeah,
it helped explain like the lore of they have these symbols they've discovered or whatever, and they've encoded the symbols into the video game, and
hmm
whoever like controls the game and hurts somebody else benefits from it,
yeah.
from the other person suffering, which comes back later at the very end of the film, which I thought was neat. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I loved that whole the beta testing, that whole segment of the film was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I kind of nerded out on that section. I was like, holy crap. And then they were showing like the whole root code. I'm like, and
Yeah.
they were so close to getting it. And then it just
Yeah,
is like,
I was
boom. So
I was
like,
trying not to be too picky about the technology and what they can actually do hacking versus, because like, you can rip these things apart, but at least it's not like what was that show where like there's it was some crime drama, like some police procedural where like they're hacking a computer and the hacker is like counter hacking them, and like two people are
Mhm.
typing on the same keyboard at the same time trying to fight
yeah,
back at the it was
trying to fight.
like
Yeah, yeah.
like
Trying to race each other
yeah,
to
like give
block
me a
each other.
break. So I was trying not to. I'm like, yeah, that's not how that works, but it's fine. I'll
Works. Yeah,
let
yeah,
it
I know.
go.
It's funny, like, and I do that too, like not too much as coding because I know you do a lot more coding world, but like as far as like finance or even like our acting class, I went into the trailer and I was like, there was one scene and Josh working in our class, he makes us, pick up things like as far as actors and stuff. So when I first was watching it, I was like, let me not do that. I just want to watch it for the story. I don't want to watch it to, depict how the actors act. But that one scene when they were talking in the cleaning facility or their job or whatever, that big tower, and the one lady is talking to her, and they're like, who are we cleaning for? What are we doing? And then she's like, who gives a fuck? Like, I'm working.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you notice the main actress, she's like playing with the mop, and I guess they tried to make it seem like she was just like bored or something. But it just to that scene, I was like, what is she doing? I was what is she? I was like, I don't even think she knows what she's doing. She just looked like awkward, like. And then it just was like, all right. So I was like, that one scene, I was like, all right, let me just take a step back and just watch it for the story. Let me not really look at these actors and what they're doing and trying to, learn from them. But all in all, great concept. It was a really fantastic concept. I like stories like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
the concept was great. I wish they had been a little clearer about the game mechanics. Like I wish they had come up with like an actual game to play
hmm
so that the player had like clear rules about what was happening, because like just choosing like red or blue and there's two doors in front of you, like flip a coin, like what's
Yeah,
going to
yep,
happen,
yep, exactly. What's gonna happen?
and even like in the later scene where it's like rewind or fast forward, like what the hell's going to happen, at least with the waitress at the beginning of the film, there was some indication of what was going to happen
Yeah.
based on, I mean
I think
it was a twist with the cleanup, but there was still at least, better than red and blue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think the vagueness was a part. I think the vagueness that was later during all of the like, aside from the waitress scene, I think that was definitely intentional, not just like them not knowing what to put. I don't know if that's what you're saying or not, but I think it was a very good way of adding more suspense into the whole part. And I didn't get a chance. I wanted to talk about the whole part where we see the person who made the beta test scene. I wanted to go
Mhm.
back to that real quick. I really I At first it seems a little bit to me anticlimactic when they put in the tape and we just see the guy that did it. I was like, we just see him and like that's not a huge buildup, but that scene does pay off because it's a very, very good scene and very tense. And to give them credit, that does look like a guy that's a computer nerd in the 80s, that
Yes.
does look like that. So it's not like a scary guy. That's who would do it. So it's very time accurate. And I just thought I really like that scene, but the reveal was kind of like, okay.
I do like how, and again, without spoiling, how they tied that scene back in towards the end, though.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
too.
I love that. That to me was like, Chef's Kiss. I was like, okay, you
That's
got me
perfect.
now. Now you got me like, I'm invested now. And it made me honestly say, like, I don't know if where they would go with it for the part two, if there's a way they could do a part two, but it just was like
Yeah.
it kind of left a little bit of a window open. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I don't do
Yeah,
much,
they
but
actually, it looked like they could have like built an entire franchise around this because I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure, but I got the impression that the empty building that they were cleaning was the company that made the game.
that's what
Yeah,
I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Because
it was
at the end, when you
because
see the guy, it's almost like he's talking in that same
Yeah.
building.
I'm
So the
pretty sure
question
it
is
is the same.
why and
Yeah.
what are they going to do? And, is this company going to become like the next, Umbrella, like from Resident Evil, and be like the next big evil corporation on the planet or something like that? I mean, they could have done a whole bunch more, and I don't know if they're planning to or not.
Speaking of the company, it's the same company that's trying to evict what was the main Kayla and her mom out of the
Yeah.
house. The company's name is Kismet. I don't know if you guys know what Kismet means, but it's a hypothetical, a force of power that determines the course of future events. So that's the same people that made the game, so it's kind of like all ties together because the game is basically making fate happen. So
See,
I thought that was just amazing. I loved that the moment I noticed it.
I didn't pick up on that, so that makes it even more cooler to me.
Yeah.
But damn, there was something I wanted to mention real quick. Crap, I wonder if I lost my train of thought.
I have like a page and a half of notes from
Go
the movie,
for
so
it.
I'm like really excited to talk
Yeah,
about
'cause I'm
Go
like,
for it, Chuck.
something I want to talk about.
it.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, well, well, first I wanted to mention that the guy who plays Isaac is Asa Butterfield, and I thought I recognized him, but I didn't recognize him from anything I knew, but apparently he played like the main kid in the boy in the striped pajamas.
Mhm.
It was
Oh,
like
nice, nice. I didn't.
the kid that's not in the striped
Oh yeah,
pajamas.
Yeah,
you
I
know
think.
he's
what? You're right.
he's
Yeah.
actually a pretty big star. He was on Sex Education. He was in Ender's Game. He had the lead in Hugo. Yeah, he's got a very, very full IMDb listing.
Yeah, and I was surprised I didn't that when I looked at the main actress that played Kayla, I don't know her name. Uh, she
Lola
wasn't in
Evans.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't in anything that I recognized. I was like,
She
but
was the
it's
only thing that
not a
she was in
problem.
that I've seen is the 100, but I don't remember her in that. It's been a
Oh,
long time since I
He was in
watched
the
it.
yeah,
100s?
Yeah,
Holy
apparently.
crap.
I don't know who she played, but it's on her
Oh,
IMDb.
wow. Yeah, that's
yeah.
one of my favorite shows.
Here's sorry,
No, no,
just
go
one
ahead,
last
go ahead.
thing that I was excited to talk about. So I noticed that this Devo probably knows about this. I don't know if you do, Cordell, but I noticed that she was uploading the program for Cursor onto her computer from a cassette tape,
Mhm.
and I was confused about this. So Jeff Morris, he lives in I
Oh,
live
of
with him,
course he
so
has one, doesn't he?
well, a cassette? Yeah,
Yeah.
of course he has cassettes. Well, I asked him, I was like, how is there a computer game program on a cassette? And he told me, well, yeah, you can definitely have a program on magnetic tapes. And he used to do that all the time for like Atari games. And I was like that. I didn't even know you could do anything other than audio on or film too on magnetic tape. I was like, that's so crazy.
Well, that goes back to what they said in the film was that sound is data, and
Oh,
they extracted the
yeah.
data from the sound at the beginning when the game loads up, which was one of the things I was like, that's not quite how that works. But MC Frontalot, if you're familiar with him, did that.
Mm-hmm.
He hid a bonus track in one of his albums with the sound files somehow. I don't know how the hell he did it, but you had to
Wow.
like extract data from the sound files, and that gave you another like MP3 that you could play. It was literally a hidden track in the album. I have no idea how he did it.
Wow. What album was that?
Oh, it was a little while ago, so I'm not sure which album. I never did find the song
Okay, it's
myself,
fine.
so I don't know. I'm not that big of a nerd,
That's so
unfortunately.
cool.
But yeah, my father had back in the early 80s, my father had, I think it was a 286 PC, and he had a what looked like just an old tape recorder that had like the big ribbon cable that attached to the back of the computer, and a lot of his files were stored on the tape. And it was really slow as far as access goes because you got it's got to
Yeah,
rewind and
Jeff
fast
said it was
forward and
super slow too.
oh yeah. There's
Oh my
there's a
goodness.
there's a song, I think it's by Dr. Seti.
Soon I built my own machine, you should have heard me cuss when I tried to catch a ride on the S100 bus. I was grateful for the storage, but one thing I'll never get is attempting random access on an audio cassette. If then do, loop subroutine go to, let them code in Fortran like the science hackers do.
That line, it was really funny to me because I remember doing that.
Wow. Cool.
One thing that I do wish could have, I guess, like emphasized a little bit more in the movie was like character development. Because I
Yeah.
kind of felt like we just kind of rushed into like she's a programmer.
Yeah,
They're
I
putting
didn't
in
pick
that-
up on that until she
Yeah.
got denied from her application. I was like, oh, okay. I thought she was
Well,
just a cleaner.
I knew that she was some type of engineer because of how she was putting the laptop
Yeah,
together, putting the
that too.
game and stuff together, but no idea that she was really a programmer. You know what I mean? Because she was soldering the motherboard and stuff like that. But I just felt like we kind of and maybe they just didn't have enough time to fit all that in. Who knows? But
Yeah.
kind of just threw the main character, at least their story into the movie, and we really didn't find out what happened until almost halfway through. You know,
Yeah,
like, as
there
far
really
as
Her
isn't
brother.
there really
Yeah.
isn't a lot of character development in this film, and
No.
it's seems like there should be just because there's so few characters. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
the majority of the movie is just Kayla and Isaac. So between the two of them, I mean, Isaac has a crush on Kayla. That's why he wants to help her. Blah blah blah. And we
Like,
learn
how do they
Kayla's.
know each other and
Yeah,
all that?
we know
Yeah.
Kayla is a programmer. She lives in some like public housing building
slums.
with
Mhm.
a drug dealer in the hallway who's trying to pimp her out or something.
Or whatever. Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
there all the time.
That guy.
And that's about all we know. Her little brother drowned because that comes into play in one of the games.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I mean, that's mostly backstory for her. We don't get any development from that point.
No.
Yeah.
And you know what kind of like, I guess not really pissed me off, but just made me raise my eyebrow. Eyebrow is
If you only have
is
the
that,
one, right? Yeah.
yeah. But the drug dealer guy, he goes and he drops this line that kind of just tugs at you. It's like, your mother was this big shot around here.
Yeah.
Nobody would have assumed that she'd still be here, but she is. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what the hell does that mean? Who is she? Like what, like, was she a upcoming star? Was she a singer? Was she a doctor? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we know what caused the fall, but what was the rise? Where was she going with all of this? You know what I mean? So, and maybe it wasn't really important, but it just like, if you're gonna throw us nuggets, give us a little treat at the end, So
Yeah.
that's just kind of just that was my little ploy with it. But again, where the story went, it really went very well. Like I said, as far as like
Yes.
figuring out the beta, who's kind of running things behind the scene, even the tie into the character in the very beginning too.
Yeah, the boss fight.
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
me, because you thought, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but in the very beginning, because I had to rewatch it again, like when we were waiting, I was like, I got like 10 minutes. Let me just go back to the beginning again. He looked crazy in the very beginning. I mean, he looked like he was like stressed out on his last dollar bill,
Yeah, I didn't recognize him at the end.
Oh, yeah. And that's my whole point. At the end, he's now polished. He looks great, but the
Family's messed up. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why it's just like, it's kind of like, again, that statement that you said about the company. In the beginning, he was almost like the one that was looking miserable, but the family was okay, I guess, based off of what we seen in the beginning. And then in the end, it's like roles reversed. Like he's now looking polished and great and feeling good. And then his family is just looking, yeah. So
Yeah, he was the winner. So,
Yeah.
him winning the game meant that he reaped the benefits, but his family didn't reap the benefits. They
Yeah.
just kind of had to sit there and tag along, I guess. And
Well, he
obviously, you
didn't.
see their condition.
Yeah, he didn't really win the game.
did
He
not
just kind
redo
of
their role.
tapped out.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
He was offered an out, kind of, and I
Yeah.
think the game always had a way of coming back to that because it was
Yeah.
like, I'm not done with you yet. So,
Well, I think that he's right because he said that, the game was looking for her because it kept saying, when she completed a level, worthy player. So the game was looking
yeah.
for a worthy player and he was not one. So I think
Yeah.
that's why it gave him the out and it, which allowed the game to find her. And then the game, stuck her back with him.
And
Mhm.
again, without saying too much, you kind of knew he wasn't a worthy player because he knew what was going on since the first game.
Yeah.
But obviously he played more because the family looked worse than that first game. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like he obviously wasn't worthy. Where the main actress, she's almost begging and pleading. And I also love the makeup that they did on her because man, she looked by the third day like the eyes, like the dark
Oh yeah.
circles, the just exhaustion of like I can't even sleep because this thing is just a never-ending nightmare kind of look. It really emphasized like, damn, she's going through it. And then
Mhm.
you see him and he's just like, why are you here? He just looks great. He's like, why are you here? Like eating with his family, just having a good time. It's like, and then she's like, you played the game? I'm having the worst time of my life, and you're sitting here, drinking mimosas. So
Exactly.
But I think
I did.
the rat maze game was my favorite of the
I
of the
wanted to see the rat
levels.
so badly. I just wanted a glimpse of
Well,
the rat.
it was the stuffed doll come to life, I
The
think.
bunny?
The bunny, yeah.
Wow.
That makes
That made it
sense.
even
Because
cooler.
when
That made it even cooler.
Kayla went back into the room where her mother was, she found the stuffed doll, the
Oh,
stuffed bunny,
Yeah,
and
laying on the bed.
yeah.
didn't pick up on
But
that.
just her like playing both sides of it because she's on the phone with her mother and she's playing the game where she's controlling the rat trying to eat her mother. So she's trying to strategize how to
Yeah.
save her mother and beat the game at the same time. That was so well done.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say
Yes.
now. That red door, blue door, that was obviously a Easter egg to Matrix, I felt like.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was like, which door are you gonna choose?
Probably, yeah.
And
Mhm.
I feel like that's why that's what I wanted to talk about. I was like, I feel like they didn't give us too much or give her any, well, which door you're gonna choose. If you choose this door, this will happen, this door, this will happen, because
Yeah.
I think it was just meant to be like, red pill, blue pill.
I
You
think
know
it
what I
ties
mean?
back into Kismet. Like it probably, no matter what door she went
Oh
through,
yeah.
it was gonna end the same way because
Because
that's how it's gonna
if
happen.
I'm not mistaken, and again, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but I think the first thing was help him or help me, or something like that, or
It
help
was help or no
Help
help.
Ricky.
help or no
Oh,
help. That's
Help
what it
or
was.
no
Help
help.
or no help.
oh
And
yeah,
no
yeah.
matter what, because of what she picked, whatever door was going to be chosen, it was always rooting back to that help or be help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why that's one of the reasons. And she picked help. So it's all kind of coming back to me now because if you think about it, yeah, she had to choose all of that stuff. But I wonder if she would have picked help or because it was help or be helped, right? If she would have
Help or
picked
no help.
help or no help,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
wonder if
help or
she
no
would have
help.
picked no help, how the events would have turned around.
I don't
You know
know.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably something bad would have happened to Isaac. I don't know.
Yeah. I felt bad for him because he just was kind of like, he wasn't even a player. He just was collecting
Yeah.
Yeah,
damage.
just along for
He
the
just
ride.
he was just there for the ride. Like it's not like, Sonic and Tails where you get to control Sonic and Tails. No,
Yeah.
he just was flying and then if he got stabbed or if he got into some type of unfortunate circumstance, not saying he got stabbed, but if he got into some type of, it's not like he could do anything. It
Yeah.
was out of his control. He had to rely on the player. So
Collateral damage.
which sucks because I kind of wanted him to be a player too.
Yeah.
I wanted him to kind of like experience his own challenge and then, they come back together like, well, what
Yeah.
did you go through? What did you go through? Like, but
Yeah, I think but if he was able to, I don't know if they would have had time for it or anything, but if he was able
yeah,
to do his own type of game, then we would have learned more about him because we don't really know much about Isaac other than he's retro freak, and he wants to get with Kayla. It's pretty much kind of all we know. And he's kind of funny.
And he's working on a video game where
That too.
if you want to cheat, it's going to hurt or something like that. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
sure
gonna
what
be some type
what he
of
was
con-
going with
That
that.
kind I don't really remember that going anywhere.
No, but it
Oh,
came back at the end with
yeah, yeah.
the beta
I
guy.
mean, he brought it up too when because I think the hero he designed after her, so he
Yeah.
did bring
Yeah,
it up again later on,
actually, yeah.
but it really didn't go anywhere, like you just said. It's like it, and one more thing too, just to tie back. I feel like I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry. You guys can always stop me whenever. But one last thing I did want to say, and this just goes back to character development. He didn't know anything about her brother, but in the
Yeah,
first scene when they met up, it kind of made it seem like they were childhood friends and he always had this crush on her.
exactly.
So that's why I'm like, we could have really benefited from at least learning how the two had met or how they bumped into
Yeah.
each other.
And he knows that she's
My
having
last,
trouble with finding a job and everything. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
well, what does he know and not know? Are they just met, or it was just a bit
exactly.
confusing.
So that was my last, like, vice with it. But again, like I said, I you're always gonna have certain vices with movies, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of this movie I watched on Prime. I was trying to figure out the name before I joined you guys because I
Mhm.
literally just watched it not too long ago. But it's about this girl. She goes on a cruise with some friends, and they end up getting lost in sea where they get attacked by this storm. Their boat tips over, and then this huge charter boat just comes and starts sailing right past them. And as they get on this charter boat, there's just this murderer going around killing them all, but they're in an endless loop. So
Oh.
it's like, they have to keep getting on the boat and they have to find another way for all of them to survive, or they're just going to keep going through the same loop over and over and over again. And there's this just
Mhm.
crazy twist at the end. Tom, if I find the title, I'm going to send it to you because I know
Okay.
you like it. And Chuck, you could watch it as well because I really think if you like suspenseful stuff with like a good story and a crazy, the twist you would never get. I mean, I never guessed it. I was just like, holy crap. But it just was so good. It just was like, damn, I didn't want that to end. So that's why it's like, I gotta find the movie. It's on Amazon Prime if you guys have Prime.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know Tom
I want
does.
to be involved. Send it to me too.
So yeah, I'll definitely send it to you both. I'll send it via email and you guys could always just, let me know what you think about it.
Yeah. I did notice that there was like I think there was like maybe two shots of like the buildings that she lived in, and they had like this symbol. I don't know if it means anything, and I kind of noticed it in like the code, but they were all shaped like that. I don't know if it's just what the buildings looked like when they built it for CGI, but it was like it didn't appear anywhere else. Neither did Kismet either. So I don't like. What does it mean? What does
Yeah,
it
they
mean? It
showed the
all means
building
something.
from above.
Yeah.
And I think this movie was too low budget to have any CGI in it. I think that was a drone shot. Um, so the buildings from above had that shape, and so you're saying that shape was repeated in the code?
Something very similar it was shaped like it, and not in the code like the language that they
Yeah.
extracted. It looked like I saw something like that in there, but I could not figure out if this symbol meant anything.
Yeah, I
And I
think
was
you're
hoping
giving
like
them too much credit.
I love to analyze. I love to write. Uh, and and I think so. The game's my favorite. I think I really like the level with the red and blue door. I mean, I really did like the rat one because it has had you like fantasizing. Oh, what was happening actually where the mom was? What was happening in that room? Well, I kind of like the red and blue door because it symbolized the part. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but it's kind of whenever she defeats the demon, we'll
Yeah.
call it the demon, it symbolizes like her how
Background.
she feels responsible for her brother dying and
Yeah.
drowning. Like it's I was like, this is so good. I
Yeah.
love it. It was a good scene. I love that.
What else you got, Chuck? You got a lot of notes there.
Um, 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 Well, I just wrote down that I really like movies with themes that are like supernatural, not supernatural as in we all have powers. I love superpower movies too, but it's like when things are messing with reality and at first you just can't tell is this real or is it in their head? but then it turns out like it is happening, and then you're wondering how is this happening, and they kind of explain how it happens, and it's like
Kind of,
because
sort of.
this
Yeah.
kind of, but like I want to know. And it's probably hard to explain if because you have to lot of writing, be like, how do we explain this in like a reality based way for this to happen? It's impossible because it's not real, it's fake. But I really like things based on reality. I think it's really cool, and it just makes me just wonder like what is the limits? How could you beat the game without playing it? Is there a way to do that? And they tried, like when they started extracting data from the sound it made, I was wondering if is there something else they could have done in that way, in this, the way of the data, if there's something else they could have done to, and then if they could learn the language, could they defeat it by learning the magic language, whatever they call it? I
They
don't know.
probably could, but even the programmers of the game couldn't figure out what the
Couldn't figure it out.
language
Yeah.
Yeah,
was.
I don't
So
know. I feel like, and obviously they didn't have a lot of time because they,
yeah.
only have 24 hours between each game, so in a certain amount of like 4 days. So they definitely couldn't have. But if they had more time, it would have just been cool if they could explore that. I don't know. I
Which
thought
is
that would have been
interesting
interesting.
because he couldn't explain where the code came from, but
Yeah.
he says my game. I'm not gonna say what he says in reference to it, but he
Yeah.
said you something my game. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's your game, you should know, or you should at least know where it kind of came from or where it originated. And
Yeah.
it made me think there was aliens or something. I was like, maybe there's an aliens or some type of ancient
Yeah.
robot before we were like, inhabited the planet, and then they found some type of code and buried in the glaciers or something, and was like, wow, let's throw this into a video game. These are cool symbols, and then boom,
Yeah.
So, but it was so just interesting how they laid it out. And again, like
Mhm.
that ending, I love a good tie-in and an ending, and
Yeah.
it came off really good.
Yeah, it's so, and it's been that like 40 years or whatever, I don't know, 40 years I think since he made the game. So I wonder, is he still benefiting from making it, or does it like pass on from like winner to winner? Like he made the game, but when the next person won, did they start reaping the benefits, and did he stop reaping? Or is it like everyone just kind of gets it like a money pool or whatever? Or if that's not whatever with that. But also, did he like over time end up figuring it out and just like kept it to himself because he's like the only person that understands it? Like, did he figure out the alien magic language over time? I don't know. We only saw him one more time.
Yeah.
So it would have been cool if he did figure it out, and that could have been like a spin-off. I don't know.
I think he's still benefiting from it because he is, the CEO of Kismet, and he
Yeah,
has
that's
that
true.
building, and he probably millions of dollars from
Mhm.
from the looks of it. And even the guy from the beginning of the film, as Cordell said, he was, very disheveled and crazy at the beginning of the film, but he was
Mhm.
benefiting from the suffering of his family. So he was all neat and tidy at the end of the film.
Yeah.
I think, and then I'm just going to piggyback off of what you said, Tom. I completely agree with that. And I also think not only was the creator benefiting from it, but I think the guy from the beginning was, because, he made copies of it.
Yeah.
The more punishment, the more that they
Yeah.
receive the benefits. So, and one other thing too, I don't know if you guys noticed, but that film was from the 80s when he was talking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's now 2012. He still looked the same. He didn't age.
Well, he was
I
kind
don't
of
know
like
if you noticed that.
entrenched in shadow.
Yeah,
So
they
he
were
wasn't
they were
really
trying to
him.
hide him.
But he didn't look, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't hobbling or
Yeah,
anything
he
like
didn't
that.
look too much older.
He looked like he was still the same age. So I'm like,
So like that
did he
also like raises the
stay young?
question, do the benefits reap immortality as well? Like that's also a question. Like is that I think that's also a possibility.
It's entirely possible with, I mean,
Yeah.
you're bending reality. You might as well,
Yeah.
Well, because they did say, no illness,
Mhm.
no disease, no injuries, no nothing. It's almost like you're completely back to normal
Yeah.
or unhurt. So I would think the same thing works with age,
Yeah.
like, because as you age, your body begins to shut down. But if you're reaping the benefits of this stuff, your body's never really aging. It's just,
Yeah.
still sustaining. So it was pretty cool. I wish we
Yeah.
could have seen
So
his full face. I still think he's
yeah.
been the same, but
It would have been cool if they did show him and then somehow was able to explain, like if they had like an extended see more scenes after the
yeah.
end and they explain more of the like the made more world building around the magic of this thing. Like explain, like we know, no illness, no this and that. You get benefits, but it would have been cool if they did say, "Yeah, I'm also immortal." So yeah,
Yeah, because you got to think, hold on. I'm really thinking about it now. In the 80s, he's probably like maybe 2030, right? Let's give
yeah,
it 2030. He's a programmer. He's got a full beard. He's coming out with a game. He's got people, locked up or whatever, that. But then you go into today's time, they got touchscreen phones, so it's got to be easily between 2010 to 2012. So
hmm
you think 1980 to 2010, 2012, that's about 30 years. If he was 30 plus 30, he's easily somewhere to 60 to 65-ish. That was not a 65-year-old man talking
No, it
on that
wasn't. Yeah.
saying,
yeah.
hey, you did this. So that's why it's like, I think it does keep them young. I think it's like the fountain of youth almost.
Yeah,
Yep. It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
very true. At the beginning, there was only two of these that I remembered while watching it, but two of the options that this out of the options that he picked kind of followed up with the game that Kayla played. After the first option he picked was, his son's tongue or her flesh or something. Well, he picked the tongue, and I think that was. Well, I guess that wasn't the first one. I think it wasn't the first one that she did, but it kind of played back whenever there was the Isaac in the tape. Well, when we saw the like you win screen, the picture was the blood out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And the picture from the first level that the first guy did was blood out of the mouth, so that tied in. And then there was also when we seen the beta scene, the beta of the game, it was eat your arm
Or the computer.
Or the
or the
computer.
computer.
Yeah.
So he ate his arm, but also I guess I don't remember this now, but I apparently remembered that in the intro there was also an option for someone's arm was also an option. So I don't know if they all tied together, but those are two that I do remember.
I think the wife's arm was the option.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Make her bite her arm or cut his tongue or something like that. Or
I thought it was her ear.
Maybe it
ear or
was
his tongue.
Yeah, it may have
I
been.
thought it was the flesh. I don't remember.
Oh,
Someone
it might
told
have been.
me.
It might have been flesh, but I thought it said her ear. I don't remember now.
Because I felt like it did specify a body part, and I just thought
Yeah.
because you're right. That now that I think about it, even with the waitress in the I guess diner or whatever, she
Oh,
the game was
actually,
over.
it was
had
her
blood in her mouth.
the blood in the mouth was
Yeah.
the first game, and his was the first one with the blood in the mouth. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That's it. Not not Isaac.
Not Isaac, but I knew where you were going with it, and that's why
Yes,
I'm
thank
like,
you.
maybe that goes back to her being chosen for this game because the
Yeah.
creator, his first challenge, it had the guy with the, stuff in his mouth. Yeah, I'm picking it up. So
Yes.
I'm like maybe that's because the guy kept, just like we said in earlier, the guy kept saying the game was looking for you.
Yeah.
That's why it made me
Yeah.
copies. I think it specifically brought you here, but he just was like, but what are you doing here?
He's just like, my life's so good, I forgot about this dumb game.
But
And speaking of him again, I didn't. It was I understand why it was there with the wife and the son. The son had like cutouts of where when he had taken
Yeah.
out his eye and taken out his tongue, there was a paper there and paper there. But I didn't totally understand why that was a thing because it looked just kind of like very, very, just very weird. And then the wife had like a mask on her, and her jaw was like protruding here too.
So
And she
I'm
had a
happy,
mask. I didn't really get that at
I'm
all.
happy you brought it up because I didn't want to get too detailed into it because I didn't want to spoil it, but I think he's holding them hostage. Because if you notice, when the game started,
Yeah.
the first thing the son did, he ran, and I laughed. I laughed so hard because,
Yeah.
like, as soon as the game started, the wife, like, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't when the game started. It was when the wife tried to
Yeah.
him at the table and he caught her arm. And when he caught her arm and he was talking to her, and then the game started, the son just got up and booked it.
He
And
was out of
I was
there.
like, wow. I was like, that might have been the funniest part of this whole movie because he ran like a track star. He was out. Like he just got up and booked. I mean, like if you really didn't catch it, it happened so quick. You didn't
Yeah.
see the son at the table anymore. And the wife, she's sitting there while the husband and the girl, the main actress, they're playing the video game. So it's like it just was hilarious seeing like how he just got up and ran from that table and then he
Neighbors
popped
then.
up again. But the way he ran, I just was like, man, he must be holding them hostage or something because like they hated him. I mean, they
Yeah.
visually hated.
Yeah. It's also very curious because the son was like trying to fight Kayla instead of the dad. I remember.
Yeah,
Like,
at
was he?
first.
No, actually,
Well, yeah, yeah.
I can't remember now.
No,
But
no,
I know
no.
that the wife was going to get rid of him. I can't remember about the son now.
So the
I
son
think,
did try to fight the dad. The wife
yeah,
and
okay.
the
I think,
actress were trying to say hit me, like the actress. But
yeah.
but also just I'm sorry, now that we're talking about it, there was something else that kind of I thought about and I didn't really think about it when I was watching it.
This is not
Maybe it gives
spoiler
them
free.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, it's
Dumbo.
not.
It wasn't
But
intended to be.
Okay,
but
good.
I think the curse also gives them some type of superhuman strength. Because when he grabbed the wife's arm, like, did you guys sense like she was like in grips of death almost? Like she couldn't
Yeah.
move her arm, she couldn't look no way, she couldn't move. He just was like,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, okay, is this like a death grip or something? I mean, just smack him with the other hand, and she's just
Uh,
So I'm like, maybe he's super strong, and he really, the more you punish people, the more
yeah.
it makes you even stronger. Maybe it gives you superpowers. Who knows?
We need more
Yeah,
world
yeah, that's
building
what I'm
with
like. I
this
need a little bit more
thing.
substance because, you know, the fact that the dude doesn't look 60, this guy, he grabbed his wife and she's like not able to move. She's like
Hmm.
starstruck. The fact that the family's in total constant fear and
Yeah.
this guy makes it seem like the game happened weeks or even months ago. Like, yeah, no, I'm fine. They're a
Yeah.
little up, but I'm fine. So it's like,
It's all about me.
yeah. So it's like, I'm like, what just like what really has transpired these weeks since he's stopped playing the game and
Yeah.
how he's been around them, like is it like now he has them caged up, they can't speak about it,
Hmm.
I mean,
like
whatever, it's clearly an abusive relationship.
oh
He's
yeah,
Yeah,
clearly
totally.
controlling their lives.
absolutely.
Totally.
But it's like, why would they even fear not running away from him? Do they think that he still has some control over the game? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just certain thoughts that just to my
Yeah.
mind just was like crossing, like he's got some type of superpowers and they can't escape. They're afraid. So
Yeah. It doesn't have to. Realistically speaking, in an abusive relationship, that you don't at some point you don't really have a reason why you're still there. You're just too afraid to get out. So that could
that's
also be a point of why they're still hanging out. They're like they don't even want to try anymore. They probably already tried, but they know what he's capable of. They're like, let's just not try.
that is a very good point. I didn't really think of it that way.
Yeah. Uh, and since we're just gonna screw spoilers now, I loved the whole fight scene of the final boss where Kayla and him were fighting. The whole thing of they have to hurt themselves to
Hurt the
hurt
other
the other
person.
person.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I thought that was so cool.
Great concept. I think it happened also to the wife and son too, though, because he smacked the wife and the son flew. I don't know if I caught that, like just watching it.
I didn't catch that. I might have missed that.
Yeah.
Because he hit the wife and the wife like just stood, but then the son rolled over, and I'm like, are
Oh.
they connected too? I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, oh my God, like I don't get it. But yeah, that whole scene where like he throws the well, yeah, we said forget the spoilers. He hits
Yeah.
her upside the head with the porcelain dish or
Uh-huh.
whatever, and then it breaks, and then next thing you know, he's bruised.
He's
And
bleeding
then
from the head.
when
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
but it was so awesome when she's like about to stab her hand, and then he goes boom right on the table.
Yes, that
I
was
was
so
like,
cool.
this is a good fight. I I was like, this is becoming a good fight because I was
Uh-huh.
like, there's no way he's just gonna sit there and let her stab, her hand and he get affected. What is he gonna do? And he reacted quick, and then she
Yeah.
a knife, and then it just became a good old tussle fight. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh my gosh. And when he was about to pull the trigger and there was no bullets left, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
I felt like the wife was shooting the gun purposely, like just let me shoot all the rounds, let me shoot everything. Like,
Yeah.
I just love how when they realize what's happening and the kid hasn't, the son hasn't, and the
yeah,
father's
Yeah.
like, shoot me, not him, you idiot.
yeah. He's just so upset. But you could tell, yeah, he just was abusive. It's like, damn,
hmm
you cut his eye out, you cut his tongue,
Uh,
you put fake. Well, we said no to spoilers, right? So can I say this?
Yeah.
Well,
we're already in there.
you take all of this stuff out, you put little fake stuff. He did something to the wife because she's got this
She's
whole
all
thing on
cut
Yeah.
up,
her
yeah.
face.
Whatever's going
Yeah,
on.
all
Yeah.
messed up. And then he's still abusing him. It's like, damn, man, like give them a break,
Yeah.
Like
Throw him a bone. Just
he's
let
done
him
enough. He's done
live.
enough. Like give them a break, man. But yeah,
Uh,
good ending. I love that ending.
hmm
So
Okay.
it is once again time to ask that age-old question. What's the tie-in? Now that we've covered this film on this podcast, it's going to become so popular that some group or other is going to come up with some way to make money off of it. I mean, clearly this movie was already really popular when it came out. So what type of merchandise or reboot or porn parody or what is going to happen? Cordell?
So I think if they really want to be interesting, make a little mobile game out of it. Make a little mobile game where it's like choose or die. And it's almost like I don't know if you guys have ever seen those mobile games where it's like you're this guy and you're walking through the office and you're trying to survive all these deadly hazards. Make it
hmm
like that, choose to, go through the front door or go through the back door. But there's something that's gonna attack you either way, like make it a mobile game, and I think it'll be a big seller.
Yeah.
Chuck?
So, and that the first idea is obviously, yeah, make it like a tie-in game. But then but my second thought is there are plenty of ample opportunities to make spin-off films. I mean, you can definitely have more people play the game, even though it would kind of counteract what happened in the ending of the movie. Or you could show the whole story in the 80s of him discovering it and him creating it and doing beta tests and him going crazy with power. I would really be interested in the 80s, the prequel. I would be interested in that for sure.
See, I'd like to see a sequel actually where Kayla is using the game that she now controls to mess with people who deserve it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. But anyway, Cordell was very close. We are going to make a mobile game out of this. We are going to make a mobile app, but the way it's going to work is it's going to force you to play the game at the same time every day, and you have to choose between two random things. So like a duck and a hamster. One of them will automatically deduct money from your bank account. The other will automatically send a copy of the game to some random person on your contacts and force them to play. And if you don't
Wow.
choose either, your phone's battery will be drained and it will die. So,
Nice. I like that. That's
I
awesome.
love it. I love it.
all right.
Awesome.
So now we have to choose. Is this a hit or a miss? Chuck?
Hit, 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 hit.
Cordell?
I gotta say hit. That tie-in is a hit.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not a perfect movie. It's not like the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen or anything, but I really enjoyed it. I really did like this one. All right, who's got stuff to plug? Chuck?
Commission me and go to MarsCon and buy these. I need to sell these all, please. I have a full stack. And commission me because I need money. My handles online are VV3SPA, pronounced Vespa, not Wespa. Know it.
Cordell?
All right, so if you guys want to follow me, you can find me at Dreadhead Outlaw, DreadHeadOwtlaw. So it's Dreadhead Outlaw with a W.
And you could follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky at Devo Spice. You can join my mailing list at devospice.com. Please help out the show by sharing, subscribing, and giving us preferably 5 stars and leaving a review. If you'd like to help out the show even more, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/devospice, and you will get this show 3 days early and ad-free, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Special thanks to all our patrons, past, present, and future, living and undead. And I am now joined by one of our guests on next week's episode, Beth Patterson. How you doing, Beth?
I'm doing fine, Tom. How are you?
Awesome. And are you ready to throw the axe, or in this case, a scythe, apparently? Why do you have a scythe?
Well, because I wanted to be my own Garbage Pail Kid. Like, I was actually kind of cool. Like, remember the Garbage Pail Kid?
I do, yes.
Cards? But, you know, I actually, mine was Death Beth. And I like, out of everybody else whose names got besmirched, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of okay with this. And there were 2 different ones. So it's like, instead of an axe, I decided maybe, you know, it would be the scythe of indecision.
All right.
So where I've got a list over there that has, oh my God, I can't see that far. I should have worn my glasses. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to see where it lands.
Throw it and try not to break any of Dr. Pinkerton's valuable equipment.
Okay, here we go. Oh God, okay, I'm not going to hit. Ow! Sorry, Dr. Pinkerton. You better be. You know what? We're always trying to kill each other anyway. So, Oats Studios.
Oats Studios. Okay, that is a series on Netflix. Director Neil Blomkamp produced a series of experimental short films that envision post-apocalyptic worlds and nightmare scenarios. So there are 10 episodes. So if you would quickly Google a random number generator and put in numbers 1 through 10, let me know what you get.
Random number generator. It's too bad I don't have these yet. Oh, look at this. I've got 5.
5. That would be Zygote. Okay, join us next time on Random Acts of Horror as we watch Oats Studio Episode 5, Zygote.